Hi, my name is Christopher Scott from the Biblical Leadership blog at christopherscottblog.com. And today I'm continuing on my series teaching about how nonprofit leaders can recruit more volunteers for their nonprofit organizations. So as in my last video, I had shared that this is some material that I was able to teach at the Center for Nonprofit Management here in Dallas, Texas, and Fort Worth, Texas. And as a way to try to share some of this material with more people and help more people, I'm posting some YouTube videos to share that material here. So today we're going to talk about how to use vision to recruit volunteers. Last week we looked at the 7 reasons nonprofits have trouble recruiting volunteers. Now we're going to start with how to use your vision as a way to recruit volunteers. So, how to use vision to drive the recruitment of your volunteers. The first thing we need to define is, what is vision? Vision is a picture of what your individual program or nonprofit hopes to create in the future. It's a picture of what your organization or individual program hopes to create in the future. Now, when it comes to visions, some people define these terms a little differently. Some people will define mission and vision differently. I'm choosing vision just because this seems to be a couple of good people that I agree with, or I read, define vision this way, and I think it makes sense. The vision is a picture of what your program or nonprofit organization hopes to create in the future. It's a picture of what you're hoping to achieve. It's not necessarily an ongoing daily activity like your mission might be. So, vision. It's a picture of what your nonprofit organization or program hopes to create in the near future. Vision also, as we try to define vision, is an opportunity to respond, not a guilt trip. Vision's not a way of guilting people into doing the things you want as a nonprofit leader, and it's not a tool to tell people they ought to be concerned about your program and ought to be concerned about what your work is supposed to do. Vision is an opportunity to respond, not a guilt trip. Additionally, as we define vision, vision is a challenge. What's a challenge? A challenge is something that tests someone's abilities. I like this quote from John Maxwell as he's talking about a challenge. All volunteers need a challenge. If we ask a volunteer to merely open the door, we'll be lucky if she does so. But if we ask a volunteer to design the door she needs to open, we have created a challenge. So, vision is an opportunity to respond, not a guilt trip. It's a challenge. Okay. Additionally, Howard Hendricks, when talking about vision, Howard Hendricks used to teach at Dallas Theological Seminary, has some great books out there on the Bible study methods, how to teach. I think Teaching to Change Lives is another great book that he has. He talks about vision and 4 characteristics of vision. A vision must be clear. It's never foggy. It must be comprehensive, kind of bring together all the stuff that you do. It must be concise, not a paragraph. And it must be compelling, something that pulls people in. Okay? So thus far as we've defined a vision, it's a picture of what your individual program or nonprofit organization hopes to create in the future. It's an opportunity to respond, not a guilt trip. It's a challenge, and it is clear, comprehensive, concise, and compelling. So some questions related to vision that people might ask themselves before they volunteer for your nonprofit organization or program. I got these out of Bill Hybels' book, The Volunteer Revolution. Okay, 6 questions people probably ask about your nonprofit program before they start volunteering. I like these. Bill Hybels writes, will I end up enjoying this volunteer opportunity or dreading it? That's the first one. Another question, will life be more fulfilling? Will this make life more draining? Will it help me grow spiritually, or will the extra demands weaken my spiritual life? And Bill Hybels is a pastor, so he's writing about churches. Why should I sign up for this? I like that one. Why should I sign up for this? Will it really be worth it? 6 questions volunteers probably ask about your organization and vision and whether or not they want to volunteer. Then there's some benefits of a clearly stated vision, right? A clearly stated vision brings energy and focus to life and ministry. It aligns human effort and energy to move towards a common goal. It concentrates the attention of both the staff and the volunteers. It motivates us through challenges and obstacles that we have as nonprofit staff people or volunteers might encounter. It raises expectations and standards of the people doing the work, and it enables us to be proactive rather than reactive. If we have a picture of what we're trying to create in the future, it allows us to be proactive to pursue things that will help us make that picture happen. So, using vision for recruitment does not mean volunteers must interact with clients. Okay, sometimes that's a common misunderstanding as I've talked with people about how to use vision to recruit volunteers. They'll try to say, well, then we're going to have them talk to the clients, so they have to serve the food, or they have to interact with the clients, or they have to talk to the women who are pregnant in the pregnancy program. No. Using vision for recruitment doesn't mean volunteers have to necessarily interact with clients, because that might even scare away some people, right? Instead, you're going to want to try to talk about the different volunteer positions that you have that support that vision, whatever they might be. If it's office work, marketing, promotions, whatever that might be, doesn't always have to be specifically for direct interaction with clients. I know in my experience when I led A Day of Hope for 5 years, I really liked working in that nonprofit program because I got to plan new things, I got to lead the meetings, I got to set our budget, I got to execute logistics and work with people, I got to help recruit volunteers and place them in roles, but I didn't always really like getting to interact with clients. Sometimes it just kind of made me feel uncomfortable. I did all the work because I wanted the clients to be served, but the work that I felt more comfortable with was more of the behind-the-scenes administrative work, not necessarily the direct hands-on work. So when you're using vision to recruit volunteers and you're painting a picture of what you're trying to create in the community, you don't always have to tell people that they're going to interact with volunteers to really get them engaged in your vision. So, craft your own vision to attract volunteers. So here's a couple of questions that we can ask just to let you think about. What is the vision of your organization? Can you say it? Do you know what it is? Does it paint a clear picture of what your organization hopes to accomplish in the future? Maybe, maybe not. Can you say it in one small breath? Okay? And when I teach this material in the workshops for the Center for Nonprofit Management, I would share United Way's vision statement, which continued on 4 slides. So I'd kind of mess with my audience a little bit. I'd ask for a volunteer to read the vision, and it'd be the first slide, and then I'd let them read the first slide, and then I'd click to the second, make them keep reading, and then click to the third, and click to the fourth. And we'd always have a good laugh, but they got the idea that you can't say it in one breath. Vision's got to be short, concise, and compelling. So a couple of good vision statements that I like to describe is the one that we use for Day of Hope. We provide hope and encouragement to families in need for Thanksgiving. A Day of Hope. We provide hope and encouragement to families in need for Thanksgiving. Okay? North Point Community Church in Atlanta, Georgia. To create a church that unchurched people love to attend. To create a church that unchurched people love to attend. And then at the United Way, even though we had a big old long vision statement, I always summarized it that we fund programs that help people in need in Stanislaus County. We fund programs that help people in need in Stanislaus County. So, as you're working in your nonprofit organization and you're trying to recruit volunteers, here's some things that can help you create your own vision statement. And you don't have to redo the whole vision for your entire organization. This is just your little program, just your little project. Maybe you create a vision statement for this project or this small program as a way to really catch volunteers and draw them in, and to use your vision statement to recruit volunteers more effectively. So here's a couple things to keep in mind. Your vision needs to be clear. Number 1, it needs to be clear. Number 2, it needs to be an opportunity to respond, not a guilt trip. Number 3, it needs to be a challenge. And number 4, it needs to be said in one breath. So clear, an opportunity to respond, not a guilt trip, a challenge, and said in one breath. So with that said, as you try to recruit volunteers, go ahead and give it a try. Try to recreate a new vision statement. If you want to post some in the comments here, you can do that. As always, you can find more materials about how to lead volunteers and work with volunteers at my website at ChristopherScottBlog.com. Everything there is free except for the link on the right-hand side that takes you to Amazon, which you can buy my book there if you so choose. Otherwise, everything there on my website is free. So thanks again for listening, and I will come next week with a video about how to design volunteer positions in order to recruit volunteers. Thanks again.